Get ready to glow crazy at Cedar Point Nights every night at 7 p.m. from now through September 5th. The Cedar Point Beach turns into the ultimate nighttime beach party. Dance alongside glow-in-the-dark inflatables to DJ Spun beats or dance to your own beat at the Silent Disco. Then chill out at one of the dozens of fire pits lining the beach. Want to bring the family? Treat yourself to a dinner that literally glows at the new Dine in the Dark, and then play Glow Beach volleyball, cornhole, or even Glow Team trivia. Join the fun and get the best deal on tickets at cedarpoint.com.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. How are you, Damon McDonald?
I'm good, Joel. No name. We're good. It's a lot of exciting things in pro wrestling, that's for sure. Some of them have to do with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but yeah, it's a very interesting time to be a fan of this sport / entertainment / whatever it is.
Did you watch the old Rampage First Dance CM Punk gimmick?
I did, yeah. I watched it live.
Before you give us your thoughts on that, Damon, can I just ask you, what was your relationship with CM Punk?
We made out a couple times. We made it just once or twice.
I knew it!
It wasn't anything serious. I mean, we hook up a couple times. No big deal. We like a lot of the same bands,
Just comfortably slid into the fuck buddy scenario.
I mean, listen, he would text me you up and be like, come on over. Look, I like him a lot. In all truthfulness, he was one of my favorites, especially from a really stagnant pro wrestling scene, at least for me in the States. He was a breath of fresh air for me. So yeah, I was a pretty big fan during his Ring of Honor days. Saw him a lot in Philly. He used to live in Philly. Would see him all the time. He used to live in Philly when he was doing the training for Ring of Honor and kind of running the show a little bit. Anywho, yeah, I was excited because, man, I'll tell you what. We haven't heard a reaction like that in a long, long time, Joel. And anticipation and buzz. And the first time I watched it, I was in the bar. We had people over, and it was a little noisy. But me and this other dude, neighbor up the street, who stopped by. Him and his wife walked the dogs, and they always stop for a beer or two. It's gotten to a tradition thing. They were there, and he's like, "Oh, let's watch." And he was talking about wrestling and all, his fandom. And yeah, it was on. It was exciting. I was definitely pumped up. And then I watched it again, just because when you watch shit with people, you miss shit. And it was just as good. It really was a good moment, man. It's a fun moment. It was a moment that kind of brought you back to why you like pro wrestling. So yeah, AEW is fucking red hot right now, and Punk, from what I understand, well, he popped the house, number one. That crowd wanted it. They were for it. And then didn't he sell like the most T-shirts or some shit like that ever on Pro Wrestling Tees in like 24 hours?
Yeah, it said the biggest sell since the Bone Soldier T-shirt, and I was like, what? That Bone Soldier, the one who's like teaming up with Billy Gunn, and but no, I think it was like the generic Bullet Club T-shirt is what they meant.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. And he did that in what, 2 days, and and think about how many Bullet Club T-shirts you've seen. 2 days, just fucking blew it out of the water. And I do like the T-shirt too. And I may have ordered one. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I did. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm into it. Listen, I hate to say it. I know people might not want to hear it, but I'm going to tune in every week. I'm going to tune in every week because that's one fucking exciting pro wrestling program for me.
Yeah, I mean, we're not the types to dig our heels in and be like, we hate AEW. I mean, it's very, very hot right now, as you say. And there is a New Japan element to it because he was specifically asked in the presser about would he work for New Japan. And I think the phrasing was something along the lines of, if Tony Khan asks me to do the G1, I'll do it, which was a very weird way to say it. Like, I can't imagine a scenario where Tony Khan is like, Punk, you got to work that G1 for us, buddy. Like that, to me, that seems extremely unlikely. But I mean, to me, CM Punk has always been a guy who the appeal has been the promos and the characters and the stories rather than in-ring. I mean, in-ring, very, very good. Don't get me wrong. But it's not like he's the sort of person you're expecting to churn out match of the year bangers one after another. So I don't think G1 would be a good fit for him. Like, obviously, it's not going to happen this year, even next year. I just think he would be better in that kind of sort of Jericho slot as a sort of a featured attraction. You know, you put him up in the big shows, the flagship shows, you know, your Dominion, your Wrestle Kingdom, blah, 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 to have big singles matches with big names. And I would say guys where the appeal is in the story and the feud and the significance rather than, you know, put him up against the very best workers in the company. So I'm thinking of feuds against the likes of Kenta or Tanahashi or even Jay White, people like that, rather than, let's stick him in the ring with Okada and Ishii and Hiromu and Naito.
Yeah, probably. You know, if we're fantasy booking, and we know how much I love doing that. Like writing it down in a piece of paper in a notebook is far more sexier than the idea of Punk in like a G1, right? It's the ideas of the dream matchups. You know, I think I don't want to say his appeal loses its luster, because I think he could pull it off. I think he's just such a smart pro wrestling mind, and like he could find a way to do something that wasn't done before in constructing 12 matches in a month span. I wouldn't put anything past him, and I think he. And look, I don't know what he's done pro wrestling training wise. I mean, obviously he's done his MMA stuff, but even that seems like it was in a very far in the rearview mirror. So I don't know what training he does. I mean, he looked good. He looked like the regular Punk. You know, he's never going to be a jacked up guy. He's never going to be the pro wrestler build. That's not why people love him. People love him because he looks a little bit. He looks like a fit guy. But yeah, I think I'm in the same camp as usual when it comes to this. If he's used, he's big show Punk, and I think that's the wisest thing to do. And again, he's going to have plenty of commitments with AEW. He's going to have, he's back to being a touring wrestler, which is think about that. That's exciting to me. Like again, you mentioned he's more known for his style and I don't want to say psychology, but his promos and his what he can do to construct a match, as opposed to being the flippy do guy or the guy who's just straight up going to give you that 5-star Okada classic match. That's not to say that he can't do it. I don't know, he certainly can, and he has in the past. Again, a long time ago, many years. And again, pro wrestling years are like dog years. Let me just say, I'm not counting him out in any way, shape, or form in anything that he wants to do. I'll go so far as to say that I think he's that kind of he has that kind of mental framework where if he fucking puts his mind to it, I think he could do just about anything.
Yeah, so aside from that, I mean, it's been a fairly quiet week, certainly in the New Japan perspective. We have a few Road to shows, Summer Struggle shows at Korakuen Hall this week. But, I mean, as we know, a Korakuen Hall show these days doesn't mean what it did in the past. These are shows that are put on to help New Japan balance the book. So we're not looking for sort of killer lineups. So to that end, actually, we do have a couple of interesting things. So on Friday, we've got Hiromu's comeback match. He'll be wrestling Doki in a singles match, which I think will be interesting because they had a really good match in Best of Super Juniors last year that I enjoyed. And we've also got a special singles match between Robbie Eagles and Master Wato. Aside from that, it's a lot of tag matches. And the caveat to this being that Shingo, presumably still dealing with his COVID. A lot of Bullet Club and LIJ wrestlers are in quarantine after a recent outbreak. Hiroshi Tanahashi coming back from the USA, presumably still quarantining. And Ibushi, not 100% yet because he had his aspirating pneumonia. So, we're not...
Oh, come on. I know you're upset about Ibushi, but he's going to be fine. I know it seems... I know. Look, I know it seems like it's been a while for him. I know it's, but it is what it is. I just don't know what shape he's going to be in, Esther, when he gets back into the ring. Right? He's certainly not going to be in ring shape. There's a big difference between running a treadmill and running, laps and doing all that, and then doing that and then taking bumps in a pro wrestling match. So I'm not expecting much when he comes back either. Right? It's been a while. He's been on the shelf for a while with this. Man, look, it was bound to happen, but this company, from a Japanese perspective, man, they're on the ropes. They're on the fucking ropes right now with all the COVID coming through. And Shingo's been out for a while. I don't know. Something's not right here, Joel. Something's not right, Joel and Esther.
Yeah, I mean, my point is that these are not must-watch shows. These shows are not for us, the viewers at home. They're, to generate a bit of revenue in ticket sales and live receipts. But the other interesting thing from these cards is that we have a couple of new dojo boys, which I think is very interesting because it's been a while. We had Yuto Nakashima making his debut a few months ago, managed to fuck up his shoulder in the opening 15 seconds of his match, and we haven't seen him since, but hopefully he's on the mend. We've seen him doing his ringside duties. But we've got two new young lions debuting, Ryohei Oiwa and Kosei Fujita, who debuted today. We don't know a great deal about each other. They're going to be wrestling each other this week. Oiwa's 22 years old, 180 centimeters, 90 kilograms, started off as an amateur mat wrestling in middle school, continued through college, ranked third in the JOC Nationals in 2018 at 86 kilos, participated in December 2020 charts and only entered the dojo in April, so very, very new. And Fujita also joined in April with passing the December 2020 charts. He's only 19 years old, 178 centimeters, 83 kilograms, wrestled through high school, winning the JOC Western and Central Japan freestyle tournament at 80 kilos. So these guys, they've got the wrestling background. They're young, presumably very talented. In terms of their sort of size, that seems like on the sort of threshold of being a junior or a heavyweight. I would sort of maybe lean towards heavyweight because they're young lads. They're going to fill out a bit. But, it's one of these things, Damon, where you get new young lions and then you watch the shows and you're watching them wrestling each other and kind of like desperately trying to have a take. Like, I've got to provide some insight on this 10-minute match where they're using like the most basic moves imaginable.
This guy's going to be a star, man.
The way... Oh. You look at the way he does, his submissions. He's going to be a submission specialist, or look at the snap in his moves. Like, there's not a great deal that you can say when you're watching young lions at the start of their career, is there?
Right. No, to me, there's not. Anyway, so, sorry, I don't have the trained eye that everyone else does. But sometimes I just want to get on here and be like, they're going to suck. Because everybody's going to be, oh, yeah, they're going to be really good. They haven't even watched them. Oh, yeah.
We watched one match and completely write them off. This guy's a fucking bust. Get him out of the dojo. Tweet at New Japan.
Right. I just want to take that side because everyone loves to pound their chest up. How they're going to find they were the first one on board. Get up the street.
We should rally all our friends in Tokyo to buy tickets, go to the shows, and just ignore the no shouting thing and just say "you're shit, and just bully them out of the company.
Yeah, wouldn't be the first time we did something. Look, it's again. I've said before the thing that I look for when it comes to, especially these early matches, in a young Lion's career. Connection with the crowd, right? That's the one thing I look for. Can they at least make me care? That's the Boston Crabs and the headlocks and all of that. Okay, but again, you need to be able to connect with the crowd, and that takes time as well. But that's what I look for. Do they have a personality at all? I mean, again, young Lions, they do their best to shave that off and build from a clean slate. But you look for something like that. You look for something like that because, again, aside from getting into the ring and totally fucking botching move after move after move and working the wrong side of the body, or I don't know, it's hard for me to sit there and be like, oh yeah, that guy's going to be a star and that guy's not going to be a star. I just look for little things to be able to make a connection. And maybe sometimes that's the hardest thing to do that I'm evaluating them on early. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Just get out there, try to shake the nerves off. I'm sure there'll be plenty. But just see what you can do to become yourself in the ring.
I'm looking at the tweets now just to see people sort of tying themselves into knots trying to do exactly what we just talked about. I'm not going to name the person. Real solid debut from Oiwa and Fujita, who looked the more aggressive of the two, but Oiwa did a better job of connecting with the crowd. It's like, I love that the people can tell this from watching like one 5-minute match.
I mean, listen, everybody's look. They're just looking for the take. Nobody. Can I ask you this? Go back in the history of tweet. I don't even think there was Twitter, so I don't. What do I know? But like, I'm sure. Is there like a Kawato tweet out there? A big star first match, or first one for fucking Hiromu.
You know what? I might have actually written a Voices of Wrestling review for the debuts of Uemura and Tsuji.
Really?
Because I remember that's when it was around New Japan Cup 2018.
Oh,
so I'll dig through that.
Yeah, I'm curious, Mr. Big Shot over here making fun of people. I like to hear what you wrote. Are you?
Yeah, it'll be something like Yota Tsuji is going to be a junior champion by 2020.
Right, these guys are going to headline the Dome.
Yuya Uemura's a bust. He's gonna he'll end up in Big Japan.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I got a Fighting Spirit TV, whatever the fuck it is, the Japanese wrestling channel. A lot of Big Japan still. Every time I turn it on, Big Japan show from like 2013. Boy, they like to bleed. They really like to bleed. I don't know if you know about Big Japan. They love to bleed. Lordy Lou. I feel like it was a bit of and then I'm on this whole old wrestling kick, 80s wrestling kick. Watching, I watched one Starrcade, and Joel, it was the one before Night of the Sky, which had to be like 85. I kid you not. Every match had blood. Every single match had blood. Everybody was bleeding. I mean, they must have bought a box of blades because everyone's bleeding. And I understand that in a lot of cases, this is the blow off to a feud that they've been building for months. Everyone is bleeding. I feel like it was a requirement for fans at ringside to start gigging because referees are bleeding. Everybody's bleeding. This reminded me of Big Japan. Big Japan 86. It was Crockett, it felt like.
Have you ever been to one of their
Big
live
Japan
shows and experienced that in the flesh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Quite a few of them, actually. I mean, more than 3. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the main events are they're a spectacle, man. And here's the thing. They're good and they build drama and they're good at that. I always just question what goes wrong in a person's life that they say, okay, this is the career path I'm chosen I'm going to jump into shards of glass. And again, not just like a one-off where Chris Jericho just, bites the pillow and says, "All right, give me it." It's these guys are doing it like on a weekly, monthly basis. It's just unbelievable. Some of the shit, and again, their bodies show scars and. Yeah, I went to one. The main event, it had like the spikes on the board. It's like those gigantic nails, and they're taking bumps on it, and the people at the ring. I would never buy a ringside seat to a Big Japan Pro Wrestling show. I'm always in the balcony, like I'm always in the bleachers.
You got to get your tetanus shot before if you do want to sit there.
Seriously, the glass that's flying. Like, again, little tiny shards of glass. I mean, there's people that bring plastic tarps. It's ridiculous. I don't know. But here's the thing, though. Every time I went to a Big Japan show, I always had a good time. I guess it's the car crash element of it. And again, there is some type of art to it, Joel, because every main event I've seen has been very good, and they also had for a while there a pretty decent big man main event circle, so yeah, but I just thought I'd bring that up. I was just like this. Again, people talk about the blood and the gore. Well, there's plenty of blood and gore all over professional wrestling throughout time. And again, imagine like a WrestleMania, everyone bleeds. You know what I mean? Fucking crazy. All right, enough of that. Where are we going here, Joel? We don't have that much to talk about today, do we?
No. Well,
no.
Having just touched on this fresh meat for Suzuki-gun.
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going with this.
Showing these two young lions. Speaking of getting fresh meat delivered to your doorstep, how about that? Get fresh, Damon.
Get fresh. We can get fresh. All you got to say is the word. You got to say the word. It's HelloFresh. HelloFresh. Hey,
why did I think it was Get Fresh?
Well, you're going to get fresh when you say HelloFresh.
HelloFresh. Yeah.
That's right. HelloFresh. Right? Because that's what we're talking about here. Our good friends at HelloFresh joining on board the Super J Cast, and you're probably wondering at home, my goodness, this is a podcast that talks about grooming of testicular regions, and now HelloFresh. That's a weird pairing. I don't think it is. I really don't, because HelloFresh, you're gonna get fresh, pre-measured ingredients, mouth-watering seasonal recipes, and delivered right to your door, right? I'm a lazy guy. This sounds right up my alley. And trust me, I've tried a lot of these mail-in food services, and for me, HelloFresh is the one. I love them. I've used them, use them, and I think they're a great value. Skip trips to the grocery store. You can count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and, keyword, affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit, and Damon's on board. Fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, fresh meats, all delivered to your doorstep. Easy cooking directions. It's a breeze. I mean, it's like getting meals delivered, except you're doing the cooking, which again you make it healthy. You control the salt. You control the seasoning. And it's fun, You're cooking things that you might not have ever cooked before in your life, and they give you really simple, easy to follow instructions to do so. HelloFresh's family-friendly menu. It's a big win for back-to-school season for those of you with little ones, with easy, delicious recipes for drama-free dinners. They offer 50 menu and market items to choose from every single week. They got everything from vegetarian meals, calorie-smart choices, extra special gourmet options. Gourmet options. You're cooking gourmet meals, kids, at home. There's something for everyone to enjoy, with the recipes designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts. It's going to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. How about that? Now, listen. We're not going to leave you empty-handed, right? So HelloFresh, you're thinking, all right, this sounds pretty good. I always wanted to try one of these. Make my life a little bit easier. Have some tasty dinners, not just have a fucking bowl of cereal for dinner. right? How about this? Here's what I want you to do. Go to HelloFresh.com/VOW14. That's VOW14. VOW14. HelloFresh.com/VOW14 and use that code VOW14. Now listen to this. For up to 14 free meals, including free shipping. Let me repeat that. HelloFresh.com/VOW14. You're going to use the promo code VOW14 for up to 14 free meals, including free shipping. I can't imagine a better deal if you're on the fence. And again, some people are, they want to explore with it and say, I'm not sure. How's it work? Go. HelloFresh.com/VOW14. Use that promo code VOW14 for up to 14 free meals. I mean, you're really going to get a good sample. Highly encourage the voice. It's highly encouraged for me to voice the following. It's America's #1 meal kit. Free shipping. If you use that code VOW14, again, HelloFresh.com/VOW14. It's very important that I say 14 free meals. And it's very important that I say free shipping. And it's very important to say that Damon uses this. And it's very important to say that I guarantee you'll love it too. Again, our good friends at HelloFresh, welcome aboard. Fantastic stuff. Get in on this. I can't imagine not. Now's the time to get in. HelloFresh. Again, I'll say it one more time. HelloFresh.com/VOW14. Use that code VOW14 for up to 14 free meals, including free shipping. Thanks again to our friends, HelloFresh.
Great stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing some pictures of yourself or any listeners out there who've used HelloFresh, what you've been cooking. Definitely send it our way. I'll be very interested to see that because I like.
Yeah, I'd like to see some before. Food. Yeah, we do like that. So yeah, you get on board.
We have a whole channel for it in our Discord.
Do you really? Oh, that's pretty awesome. I'm telling you. Well, I mean, we have the food one, but we have one dedicated exclusively to HelloFresh. We could. we could have it sponsored. Yeah, I'd like to see pictures. I'd like to see that. I can't. That's a pretty good deal, Joel, isn't it? I mean, seriously, with a code, you're really getting a taste of what this service is all about and how it can fit into your life. And yeah, I mean, that's a great job, HelloFresh.
Yeah, absolutely. If I lived in the States, I'll be all over that. So get involved, people. That's a great deal. Okay, so just going to be sort of bouncing around all over the place, digging into the mailbag here. Got a few questions circling back to Roppongi 3K. We talked about their breakup last week. Louis says, did you guys watch the interview with Yoh with his reactions on what Sho did to him? I'm not the biggest Roppongi 3K fan, but I felt sad for Yoh watching it. I'm actually looking forward to Yoh and Sho's eventual match. Hayden says, where do you see Sho going as far as factions go? I think United Empire is the most logical step. Dr. Gary says, with Sho being a naughty boy, does that mean he's automatically out of chaos? Does he join a new faction or go it alone for a while? So yeah, I did watch the interview. Yeah, it was nicely done. It was good to sort of shine a bit of a light on Yoh because I felt that angle, it was all about Sho, wasn't it? And he's always been the more hyped of the two. So it was good to get Yoh's reaction to it and put the spotlight on him a bit and we can empathize with him. And it did sound from that little video interview thing that they are going to have a feud. So I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are, Damon, how you think this is going to play out. Like, if they're going to feud, presumably Sho is going to be staying in the junior division for a while. I don't know if that might be a feud and a program that they want to attach the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title to. So I don't know if there's a possibility of Robbie Eagles losing it to Sho or Yoh at some point. And in terms of factions, yeah, I mean, everyone talks about United Empire. They don't have a junior at the moment, so I could see that happening. Suzuki-gun have already got, 3 juniors already? They probably don't need one. LIJ obviously is not a good fit. So Bullet Club, yeah, they've got plenty of juniors as well. So yeah, I suppose if he's not going to fly solo, then United Empire seems like a fairly likely destination out of all the factions.
All right. Would it be weird for him to still be in Chaos and feud with Yoh?
We've seen. I'm just trying to think back to when Jay White started turning on everyone in Chaos. He did go straight into Bullet Club, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, I think it would be unusual to have someone turning heel in what is a predominantly babyface faction.
Right.
That would be odd.
And maybe, again, my idea is just to have the everybody's not only looking for a Roppongi 3K split and happy that happened, but there's a lot of people that are kind of over Chaos, right? They'd like to see that in some way. And we've always heard little rumblings of, that their time is coming to an end soon. So I don't know. That might be a good way to have a little inner faction split as well. I think what is telling though is that more people are looking forward to what is next for both those guys than the actual feud itself. Right? I don't think people are nearly as excited for the feud itself and the matches itself as opposed to what is next for Sho or what is next for Yoh. And I think that the hesitation people have is that, is this going to be one of those wet fart feuds where it's just, okay, it happened, right? And I really would hope that this feud would be, again, a feud that leaves its mark on both people's careers. Because I think it really needs to happen. Because in one case, everybody's earmarked Sho to be this star, but Yoh is going to get left in the fucking dust if he doesn't find a way to not only come out of this feud hotter than he was, but to maintain that. Like, what is he going to do? And I think that's really the issue, right? It's not so much Sho, because people feel like they can stick Sho, and it's Yoh. Like, what do you do with fucking Yoh? And because you're in a dangerous spot here of having a guy just be there. And that's pro wrestling, purgatory. No, and nobody wants that. I think people would rather fall in and just stink on ice and have people to not have people care about you is the worst. So, yeah, I think but I don't have that answer, because truth be told, I really kind of want to know what happens with this feud, because if this feud, as I eloquently described it as a wet fart, if it becomes that, what's the point? What do you do? How do you fix it? How do you make them more interesting? What's the story? Because if this doesn't do it, a feud with a guy that he's been with his entire career doesn't light the spark, I don't know what does.
Maybe Sho sees the error of his ways and apologizes to Yoh, and they make friends again. And
oh, Jesus Christ.
That would be a swerve. No one would be expecting that.
That's true. Imagine that. Roppongi 3K. I don't think anybody wants that. But to answer the question, yeah, I guess Sho, the most easy puzzle piece is United Kingdom, right? I guess that would be it. I don't know the connection they have, like how would they make that happen. He just shows up and I'm in. That I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see about that. But it is definitely one of those things where you're holding your breath, hoping that they find a way to make this feud work. Again, the two people that are in the ring are very talented pro wrestlers. It's okay. This is a feud. Let's make it a feud. We can't just let it be this petering, sputtering thing. It's got to jumpstart both guys' careers.
Yeah, agreed. So keeping a close eye on that one and hoping we get something interesting from both guys. Let's touch on Summer Struggle USA from New Japan Strong. So we're reaching the tail end of these tapings with no fans. I believe we've got one more this Friday, and then we get to see some of the juicy stuff. Still avoiding the spoilers, Damon.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
So we open up with the Alex Coughlin Challenge match series, where Matt Morris came out to make the challenge and defeated Alex Coughlin in 8 minutes 32 seconds with a director's cut. So Matt Morris, formerly known as Aiden English, he did commentary at Resurgence as well. Drama King Matt, as he's known. Alex Kozlov, he doesn't talk fucking nonsense, Damon. I mean, some of the stuff throughout this match. So creamy. He's describing Matt Morris. He says he's creamy like a lemon meringue pie. He's talking about buying new rice cookers. Talking about being friends with Juice Robinson. He has got to be the worst guy on commentary since Lanny Poffo, and I have not seen any notable improvement from him. He's just half the time he's just talking utter shit.
Yeah, I think he drives Rocky Romero to the arena. That's how
Has he got photos of us? Lanny back.
Who knows? I mean, pro wrestling favors it's something that is the history of pro wrestling. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why this is continuing. I really don't. I don't. Kevin Kelly's got to be pulling out whatever hair he's got left on his head, or maybe he's. But here's the thing: we're like Strong's past the point where we're just doing this for elbows in the ribs and giggles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people are starting to take it seriously, and if they want to be taken seriously and take that next step, then that is something I think they've got to fix because it's so distracting for me.
I get it. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. So maybe they do with these live tapings. You know, maybe they do. Maybe Resurgence was one of those things where it's like, okay, let's get your feet wet. Let's get you comfortable in front of a microphone, and maybe we have that situation. I don't know, but yeah, something has to be done. But again, he's a Rocky guy. If Rocky's running the show, they have to see it though. They have to listen to the show, right? Like they have to know that this is not a good fit, right? They have to know this, right?
Yeah, I mean, everyone. This is not exactly a hot take. Anyone who watches Strong, like for first-time viewers, that's one of the first things they talk about. They're like, "What is up with the commentary? This is ridiculous."
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe this is why we're seeing more of Matt Morris. We saw him in this match here, which I thought was pretty good, actually. I was impressed. He is incredibly pale. I mean, he's so pale that you could clearly see Alex Coughlin's handprint on his chest after a few chops. And I thought Matt Morris was fine. Like, he's not going to move the needle, I think, but a useful roster's guy to have around, especially if he can do commentary as well. I don't know if that's where he's going to be slotted in long term, but I do like the way that they're bringing in fresh names each time. It seems every time there's a taping of these Strong episodes that there's someone new in there, which is exciting.
It is. But do you think that ends? Do you think that we're seeing the end of that kind of where Strong was? No,
I think it's going to continue.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we're going to see it with like AEW guys, but do you think we see, because before it seemed like it was, the indie destination. Do those slots get filled up with, dare I say, bigger names, and there's not enough room for those guys that are on the indie scene, ready to make a name for themselves, et cetera, et cetera?
I don't know, because it hasn't trended that way. The guys that they were using right from Jump Street, they're still using them. They haven't ditched anyone. The only names that have disappeared were the two guys who went off to NXT.
Right, they went off their own, yeah.
Yeah, so even the day one people, they're still around, and if they're serious about making this a viable brand for the company, then I think having that depth in the roster is no bad thing at all.
Is there any? And I haven't heard any new word. I think it's important that this company finds a way to hold on to talent, and I think that was one of our biggest complaints. Like when we saw this thing start to show some life, was the ability to hang on to those people. and not just make stars and then have them go running off in the distance. Now, I think pro wrestling landscape has changed in the past year, where one option is entirely more sexier than the other. But again, if it whatever con is writing the checks, look, if someone signs with AEW, there is a very good chance they could continue with Strong, right? So if there is I don't know, is this a best of both worlds scenario where New Japan doesn't necessarily have to foot the bill and still use the talent?
I think so, because I'm just having a look in the notes here, because someone asked an interesting question about this and bringing in new talent and exclusivity. It was Josh from We Work Stiff. He says, does New Japan need to further show their commitment to Strong by signing talent to be Strong Boys, maybe going after the ghost of Adam Cole, sign wrestlers to be primarily affiliated with Strong as opposed to AEW talent sharing or New Japan main roster talent to avoid that distinction? Not a slight on the current Strong roster or guys like Rossett, etc., but the idea being to actually invest in signing a top free agent or two to be a Strong top guy, someone who may work elsewhere or over in Japan in time, but is a definitive Strong guy. I mean, I think a lot of the appeal for these guys, guys like Wheeler Yuta or Fred Yeager or Daniel Garcia, the appeal is that they can work a number of different companies. They can do some AEW, they can work a Strong taping, they can go and work for other US independents. So, I mean, I don't see... I mean, what are we looking at here? Like them signing someone and asking them to be, exclusive to Strong? I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. And why would you?
Yeah. And I think the sort of the high end for that is someone like Fred Rosser, who I haven't looked, but he does seem to be working primarily in New Japan Strong. But I think for the example given for someone like Adam Cole, I think that's going to be a really tough sell to say, hey, we're expecting you to work New Japan Strong for the majority of your your contract. I think that's very difficult, and also a big star like Adam Cole will be wanting big money.
Big money. Right.
Yeah, and I don't think New Japan are looking to spend that amount of money at the moment. So no, it's not something I can see happening.
Right. I think that is the biggest sticking point, is where's New Japan getting the money for this? Right. Again, are they going to go to Daddy Bushi Road and say, we got Adam Cole, and they're going to look at him like, I don't know what the fucking Adam Cole is. How much? You haven't made any money in the past 2 years. We are not signing Dick Cole.
The guy who wrestled a singles match here at Wrestle Kingdom 11. Remember? No, we have no recollection of that.
no, people that were there, me included, have no recollection of that. Look, that's going to be a tough sell, right? This is a company that we do a podcast for, that we support, and we're critical of at the same time. That is running shows on a shoestring budget, periodically, live events at full capacity. This is not, they got bigger fish to, I can't say they got bigger fish to fry. And I understand the idea of, well, you put, if you invest in the wrestlers, then the people will come, and then you sell the arenas, and then you can get more wrestlers. I understand that. But this company is not at that point yet, I don't feel. I don't feel. I don't think they're ready for that kind of thing. So the idea of, hey, can we borrow this guy for a show or two to pop a house and then, kind of grease the wheel and get the engine running? Yeah, I see that being more realistic than I'm going to lock this guy down to a 2-year contract. Even though, again, I think the big fear was, Joel, was the idea of the WWE signing talent. Like, if we have a working relationship with the AEW, let them foot the bill. I don't think anybody has any problem with that. It's the idea of, they signed to WWE and they're gone for 3 years, and you just pretend they don't exist, because they don't exist. That's the point, I think. But if you have a working relationship with all these different organizations, and again, you don't necessarily, you could split the costs. I don't care. I mean, I just think it's a more economical way to go until you're back at a point where you're able to run shows at full capacity and the revenue stream is coming in again. And I don't think they're at that point right now.
Yeah, and I think that sort of freedom and flexibility is the best way that we are going to tempt guys away from WWE, because being able to work as many dates as you like and make as much or as little as money as you want, I think that is a big draw. That's a big appealing factor from people who think, you know what, I don't want to be tied down to WWE for the rest of my life. I want to be able to pick and choose where I work, when I work as many companies as I like. And yeah, that's something I think is to the benefit of the independent US wrestling scene. I think that's part of the reason why it looks so healthy right now, because people have that freedom and flexibility to do what they want. So I think that's something that should continue. And we saw a lot of this talent in the second match of New Japan Strong. We had a six-man match. TJP, Ren Narita, Clark Connors beating the team of Daniel Garcia, Fred Jehai, and Fred Rosser. It was Ren Narita who got the pin over Daniel Garcia with the Narita special number 4. I hyped up Daniel Garcia. I liked what I saw, but we did see very, very little from him in this six-man match. So I hope we get to see more. He's very long, very rangy guy, big sort of flailing strikes with snap hard. That's what I say if I've got no insight. I'll just use the word snap.
Yeah.
But I hope he gets more work in New Japan. I think he should be a guy aiming for Best of the Super Juniors next year, if he's not already tied down by AEW, because he is doing a lot of work for them. I like the Narita and Fred Rosser feud continuing. It's helping to add a new dimension for Ren, who up to this point hasn't been given a sustained feud like this, and that is one of those strings you need to add to your bow when you're out on excursion. So that's going to be really good for him. And I do enjoy Fred Russell winding him up with his big shit-eating grin. And I thought Fred Jehai was notably impressive here. We saw a bit more from him than usual. Nice snappy offense. But yeah, this is good stuff. I liked it. So again, one of my favorite parts of Strong is seeing these smorgasbord of talent, dojo talent, local talent, American indie talent, veterans, mixing it up in these six-man tag matches. So that was a lot of fun. Multiverse Aces with Daniel Garcia being on Strong, along with wrestling Minoru Suzuki.
That's correct.
For West Coast Pro on October 8th. What would be your dream scenario for him in NJPW? As I mentioned before, I think a realistic aim for him and for New Japan should be try and get him in Best of Super Juniors for next year. I think he could be a real breakout star there. They basically follow a similar trajectory to Robbie Eagles, who's a guy they brought in. I think at first he was tagging with Ishimori, wasn't he, in a Super Junior tag league? So, that ship's already sailed, but I definitely think you could be aiming for Best of the Super Juniors next year if, fingers crossed, travel arrangements permit it.
Yeah. Well, look, there's a reason why.
Get ready to glow crazy at Cedar Point Nights every night at 7 p.m. from now through September 5th. The Cedar Point Beach turns into the ultimate nighttime beach party. Dance alongside glow-in-the-dark inflatables to DJ spun beats, or dance to your own beat at the silent disco. Then chill out at one of the dozens of fire pits lining the beach. Want to bring the family? Treat yourself to a dinner that literally glows at the new Dine in the Dark, and then play Glow Beach volleyball, cornhole, or even Glow Team Trivia. Join the fun and get the best deal on tickets at cedarpoint.com.
Hey guys, we're using Poshmark and you should too. Do you have things that you don't wear anymore? Poshmark is seriously the easiest way to make room in your closet, make some cash, and also snag a bargain. It's the coolest reseller with the best brands like Lululemon, Nike, Reformation, and Gucci for up to 70% off. DJ Khaled has a closet, and Serena Williams. Download the app today. Enter Podcast 10 when you sign up for $10 off your first purchase on Poshmark.
You look back at guys who are outside the New Japan bubble, and people are excited to have them be a part of the show. And it's always these independent matches, whether it be a Rev Pro match or a Ring of Honor match or something like that, where it's if they've got their eye on someone, they put them in matches like this. I don't think that there should be any shock. If you're a fan of this guy, to expect him in a New Japan ring soon, right? The Suzuki match was one that I was like, ooh. Yeah, Suzuki's doing like a little mini tour in October. He'll be in Atlantic City around my way. So I definitely will take a ride out there to see that. So I don't know if we're going to get that same matchup, but yeah, I saw that online and I was like, well, looks like this guy's getting the old scouting treatment, the old test match, and Suzuki will come back with a full scouting report, and I'm sure we'll see him in a New Japan ring shortly after that match.
And our main event was the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Royce Isaacs and Jarrell Nelson, defeating Violence Unlimited, Chris Dickinson and Brody King. Royce Isaacs pinning Chris Dickinson following Movie on the Roof. This was a good sort of old school psychology tag match with West Coast Wrecking Crew showing that their tag synergy and experience and the fact that they got matching tights gives them the edge over the individual superiority of Dickinson and King, who they still feel like two singles guys rather than a cohesive tag team. Maybe that's by intention. They are adding some team moves to their arsenal, but that was the story here. And this is a really big win for West Coast Wrecking Crew. I like the fact that the company getting behind them, giving them some momentum, and telling the story that by aligning themselves with Team Filthy, now they're able to beat Violence Unlimited, who they lost to in the Tag Team Turbulence tournament when they were good guys. So again, I'd like to see these little storyline progressions, these little beats developing on New Japan Strong. And I'm a big fan of West Coast Wrecking Crew. I hope we get to see more of them.
Yep, me too. And again, you mentioned that these were the last tapings of this block. So, we'll have the live crowd back, well, not back, but for the first time. So that should be exciting. And again, I kind of was privy to a little bit of spoilers. And again, I'm not going to mention anything for Joel, doing an excellent job keeping himself out of harm's way when it comes to that. But yeah, these next couple shows should be pretty good. And again, just on paper, from what you say, exciting. Definitely good times at Strong. So interesting things around the corner next week and in the weeks to follow with the new batch of TV tapings.
Violent Skipping asks, last week Damon talked about the quality of Strong rivaling other US promotions. With the success of, not to mention relationship with AEW, how long before we're looking at a TV deal? And that is my question. I don't know. I still feel like this is an area for growth for New Japan. It's something they've not been very good at, is getting those TV deals. And I still feel that they're quite a way away from getting a US TV deal.
They are. Because the landscape of U.S. television is, the big buzz around was, people are networks are looking for sports programming, cheap sports programming. And pro wrestling traditionally would fall under that category, right? The problem is that the sports networks themselves are kind of drying up. And the options aren't really that out there. And, it's not going to be a deal where people are tripping over themselves to hand New Japan Pro Wrestling money for a show. In fact, it would more than likely be some type of break even at this point. And again, we're not talking about an ESPN. We're not talking about a TNT. We're not talking about any of that. I think right now, and I hate to say it, but the best option for New Japan wouldn't be their own TV show. Let me take that back. It wouldn't hurt if they had their own TV show on an Access TV or a secondary tier cable network. But they're going to get more eyeballs on AEW. I hate to say it. Right? They're going to get more eyeballs on TNT than their own show. And again, their own show is good to have to build an audience, piggybacking off of people showing up on AEW and kind of like what Impact did. But, I'd like to see Impact numbers. Has Impact numbers improved dramatically? I would guess that it did. I think more people talk about Impact with Kenny's involvement and Good Brothers involvement and Young Bucks involvement and all that. Mox. I think people a little bit more on their radar. I think it's the best way to go. I think that's the best way to go.
Yeah, the blueprints there with using guys like John Moxley and exactly what you said, just piggybacking off that buzz for them that is built up on AEW to get fans, casual fans, maybe fans who haven't watched any Strong or New Japan of USA before, to say, hey, you like John Moxley, you like CM Punk or whoever, why don't you check them out on Strong or on this New Japan US show wrestling this New Japan guy? Right. So I think, I agree with you that is the most sound strategy. And it's worked for them thus far with the way they've used Mox.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, There's nothing wrong with that. But it is, again, it's ego. Like, New Japan fans don't want to hear that because they want New Japan to succeed on their own. And there was a part a few years ago where that was a possibility. And we were an ass hair away from that happening. That was the past. We are not the same company. And we have to rebuild, and we have to regrow, and we have to get back in front of people. And the place with the most eyeballs, and not only that, but with a company that has a firm understanding of what New Japan Pro Wrestling is AEW. And then piggyback off of that, have your own show, whether that's Strong, whether that's whatever, a new show, whatever the case may be, on a secondary cable network where, okay, we're not making a ton of money off of this TV program. It's not like they're, bags of money are coming our way, but it is a vehicle that we can use to get our guys over for the live events.
Kyle probably says, do you have a read on the Japanese fans' reaction to Strong as a show? I don't. I mean, I asked Kuma on Twitter, who's doing a tremendous job translating stuff between Japanese and English for the two fandoms. And the impression they get is that after Resurgence, Japanese fans are starting to sit up and take notice of it. I mean, the fact that they offered live commentary for that, they had Hiromu doing that, and is a step in the right direction. So I think from this point onwards, with fans in the house, I guess similar to the way more Western fans are starting to pay attention to it, we're going to see that heading in the same direction.
Yeah. I mean, that big show helped, right? The Resurgence helped. And every one of those is going to help. I mean, I
wonder actually the choice of having Lance Archer in the main event, how much of that was with an eye towards Japanese fans, because obviously he'll be someone that the Japanese fans are familiar with. So yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, I'm not digging around as much as Joel does online, but what? I mean, I've seen people excited about Strong. Isn't Manabu? He's into it, right?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know anyone who's watched it and disliked it. It's one of those things. Like there's two types of people. There's people who love Strong and people who haven't watched it yet.
Right. That's a great point. All right, good. But the only way they can watch it is, they can watch it on the network, right? Yeah, all the shows are on the network.
Yes, okay. Yeah, and every episode of Strong has got Japanese commentary as well. So
there you
go. There's definitely the market for it there. Ben says, if you could take one New Japan Strong talent to compete in this year's G1, who would you take? I mean, I've probably said this plenty of times before. I think Tom Lawler is the guy. And piggybacking off that, another question from MGC Universe. He says, what can be done to further elevate the Strong title, and what are your general thoughts of Filthy Tom as a wrestler / performer / face of the company? Where do you see him in the future? I think he's really starting to put it together. I've noticed a significant improvement in his promos over the last year. Maybe a little bit unsure of himself at first, but now he's really growing into the role and he's a lot more confident on the mic. And to me, that was the sort of missing piece for him. So now he's started to put all that together. The sky's the limit, really. I see absolutely no reason why he shouldn't, if travel permitting, be making trips over to Japan, because I think he's a guy who would be very popular with the domestic crowd there. And so he would be one guy, if I could pluck out of Strong and plop them in the G1, he'd be the guy. And hopefully he sticks around with the company for many years to come.
I would say him on my shirt list. I would say him. I would say Chris Dickinson. I would say not necessarily G1, but I do think there's a place for Leo Rush.
Brody King
on the radar. You could put on that short list for G1. Sure, absolutely. So I think they have lots of options. I mean, the one I think dark horse, or might be. Why did I forget his name? God Almighty, he's Team Filthy, big guy. He reminds me of Albert.
JR Kratos.
Yeah. Like I think he might be a good fit. What do you think of Rosser?
See, it's funny because I I don't want to say like he's not G1 standard, because I think when we see the G1 lineups this year, we'll probably see that exactly the standard that we have in mind has probably dropped, given the circumstances. I mean, why not? Give him a chance. I would like to see his loyalty being rewarded. I would have absolutely no problems with him being plugged into the G1 next year.
People bitch and moan. I mean, again, we're talking about a different time and a different place and all that, but there are plenty of people that, at first glance, you're like, oh, that guy, right? I mean, Jeff Cobb, you could probably say people complained when they popped him in there. Elgin, people complained when they popped him in there. And I think they did pretty well for themselves. I mean, Jeff struggled at times, but you don't know until you're in there, right? It could be a plus. Let's put it this way: I don't think if they put him in there, people would have these super huge expectations, and if he overachieved, that's a win, right? If he overachieved, that would be a win. Like if he came out with like 2 bangers, I think everybody would be thrilled. And then he didn't embarrass himself in the other 10 matches, but he found a way for 2 really great matches. I think everybody would go, everybody would be very pleased with that, right? I would be.
Yeah, I think he's more than earned the chance to do that. And I think he will have the opportunities in the coming months to show that, well, whether or not he is up to that standard when we get big names flying over from Japan, which it seems that direction of traffic is more free than people going from the States to Japan. We're seeing guys like Taguchi and Phantasma, Ishii, Tanahashi, what have you, flying over to the States. So I think there's going to be opportunities for Fred Rosser to show what he's made of and maybe prove a lot of people wrong there.
Well, they got to get their vaccine, sure.
Yeah, because very hard to come by in Asia. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to throw this out there. Are you excited for G1?
No.
Yeah.
Not really. I think... I'm expecting to hear the lineups at these Seibu Dome shows.
Right.
That's the speculation, that night 1 we're going to get the 20 names and night 2 we'll get the blocks and the dates. And I think, I would love to see at least one exciting name, one curveball in there, just to sort of freshen things up a bit. Because if it is just 20 guys who are on the current Japan-based roster, then it's going to be quite dry, I think. But of course, you're going to get bangers, and the matches themselves will be really good. But in terms of buzz, it's cold, isn't it?
It is ice cold. It feels like, and it's G1. They need a couple surprises. Joe, they need to recognize that, right? They need a couple of surprise names just to get people's mouths watering over G1, because right now it ain't happening.
We have a few G1 related questions, actually. I'm going to drop them in now.
All right.
Because now it's coming up in the conversation. Sloth says, assuming the States does not shut down again, should New Japan move the G1 to the States in front of fans? Maybe just the Northeast specifically, Hammerstein, ECW Arena finals in MSG, just examples. I'm not asking if they would, but rather if they should. Dan says the G1 swiftly becoming a tournament with a lot of mouths to feed, considering the other guys from Japan and America, and then all the unsigned wrestlers in AEW, Impact and ROH to a lesser degree. How do you gents feel about a potential G1 qualifying series of sorts? The usuals from New Japan to get their spot, but the guys on the bubble have to qualify via a singles match or something. Might be a way to keep the lineups interesting, and that is my question. Yeah, we touched on this last week. It's not going to happen. Sort of logistically, I think that's something you need to plan far in advance. But I think something that they could do, I don't see why not, why they couldn't have like a little... US-based block, like a US block. Obviously, I'm not saying that they should take the G1 climax out of Japan, because, as we talked about before, it is New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that is their lifeblood, the home support. So the tournament is not going to be leaving Japan. But do you think that they've got the talent and the infrastructure to run like a parallel competition in the States?
Like a C block. They do. You think of the names that are between Ospreay and Jay White, and I mean, could they do something like that?
Maybe a single elimination tournament would be easier logistically to work because, if you're doing blocks of 10, then you're requiring a lot of dates, a lot of venues. You're looking to have these wrestlers keeping their schedules free for an extended period of time. So if it was just like brackets, 32 guys or 16 guys or whatever, similar to the sort of Super J Cup or the New Japan Cup USA, maybe that might be more workable.
Right. I just don't see how we could pull it off. Like, I'm just trying to, like, even if you had guys that are in the United States and they're in the G1, right? They would have to eventually wrestle some of the guys in Japan, right? You bring the guys in Japan over. Like, don't you think it's weird the names that are in the United States during October? It's just, it is weird. Maybe they got something up their sleeves, Joel. Maybe they have something figured out. I don't see how they could pull it off, though, when it comes to anything U.S. based. I just don't know how you could pull it off. People have to go to Japan, and that's the sticking point right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would like, if they continue to do these double dome shows, I'd like the idea of having, G1 USA winner face off against someone on night one, and then G1 Japan winner faces the champion, and then the winners of that meet in night two. Something like that. I don't know. But
it feels like,
again, this is just... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it feels like we're trying to stick a square peg in a round hole. You know what I mean?
True.
And I understand you got to make do, but there becomes a certain breaking point where it's like, okay, is this really the G1 anymore? I
had an idea that might be fun, actually. I don't know what you think about this, but with an eye on next year, if we're optimistic and thinking next year travel is going to open up and we might get a sexy G1, maybe some kind of G1 draft where we've got a list of all the guys who've wrestled in a New Japan show over the last 12 months, and we each take turns to pick 10 guys to make a G1 block that could conceivably happen next year. That might be fun. I don't know if that's the sort of thing you would be into, but just an idea that popped into my head to get people excited about a post-pandemic New Japan world.
I'm excited. I'm more excited about a post-pandemic New Japan world than I am about a pandemic New Japan world. Let's put it that way. Yes. So, I mean, we only have a few short weeks to go before these announcements. So, again, I just cross my fingers and hope that they got something up their sleeves. I really do.
Quick one here. Ultimate Wrestling Trivia says, would you rather have the New Japan of America roster or the Japan roster? I mean, I think the US roster has sort of crept up on the Japan one, but I still think the Japan one has got most of the talent and the big names there.
Yeah, I'll take Japan. Zack, Taichi, Ibushi, Shingo, Okada. Yeah, I mean, we're doing okay over there. I mean, talent wise, we're and again, that's not to sneeze at Ospreay and Jay and if Ishii's over there hanging out. Yeah, I think Japan still has the roster.
Okay, some Discord questions. Booze says, how mad are you if you're Yota Tsuji watching...
Oh my goodness!
That's a haters question.
Jesus.
How mad are you if you're Tsuji watching Yuya Uemura get the pin at Resurgence and adopted by Shibata at Resurgence? And that is my question. Do you think Tsuji was watching that Uemura stuff at Resurgence thinking, fuck, I wish that was me. Why isn't that me? Why have I been sent to the fucking UK?
What's the early returns? I haven't heard a lot of glowing returns on the Rev Pro excursion. Yeah, I mean, that was a nice little spotlight thing. That was a big moment. I'm telling you, that was a nice little moment, with the T-shirt thing and all. I dug that. I don't know if everybody else got into it as much as I did, but I definitely felt that one. Yeah, I mean, UK scene isn't what it once was, is it? It's a little. They've gone through some tough times over there. So, yeah, I mean, listen, he's gonna hang out there. That's the best I can say.
Just don't let him hang out with the NXT UK guys.
Yeah, bad news.
Okay, Mixelplick says, I think I'll always consider New Japan my home promotion, but clap crowds have been hard for me. Let's do something positive during the dark times. Give us a New Japan wrestler for a 3-month or so tour with AEW right now. The crowds are molten and there's perhaps nothing we can't do. We turn our eyes to mutual benefit. My vote is to send Ishii.
That was my pick.
Motherfucker. There we go.
That was my pick.
And he is going over, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, that was my pick. All right, so let me pick another one. But that right off the top of my head was like, okay, that would be fucking really good. How about, all right, they're in Japan right now. How about Zach?
Yes. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fucking something?
Especially like the promos, the promo battles, him going up against other guys who are really confident and putting the acerbic wits against each other. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Would you like? I mean, that would open up a Zach D. Bry. If rumors are true, that would be something, right?
That is going to match. Like, if the Danielson rumors are true, that's got to be inevitable. Like, both guys will probably be
just
on the phone. Like, let's book it. Come on, we've got to do this match.
Right? Yeah, that would be sexy. That would be something I would be tuning into religiously, no doubt.
Yoni Steam says, question for Joel, is British Jewish food, or if you're from somewhere else, is the Jewish cuisine similar to US Jewish cuisine? I don't know. I can't speak to either, really, because I don't, when I lived in the UK, I wasn't a huge part of the Jewish community there. It's something that is just like sort of a personal family thing. I like, I don't go to synagogue or anything. I don't pray or whatever, but I like to celebrate the cultural aspects of it, like the festivals and the meals and the songs and the stories. I think that's something that's worth passing on to my family. So yeah, just for sort of the big festivals, we had a nice time last year during Hanukkah. We took Esther to a big Jewish celebration they had here in Bangkok, and eating the latkes, the sort of fried potato pancake things and donuts and stuff like that. And a big fan, of course, of smoked salmon and cream cheese bagels. I don't know if I'm allowed to claim those as Jewish cuisine, but certainly when we went to New York a couple of years ago, that was a moment of awakening my cultural heritage. Because it's not really something I ate much when I was not in, before I went to the US. But then when I tried them in like a proper Jewish deli, I was like, wow, this is good. Because like when I was a kid and I went to a Jewish primary school because my mum taught there, I didn't like the food, but I don't think I saw the best of the food there. So it's something that now is good that I can sort of pick and choose the best elements of it to share and enjoy. Yeah,
you can't judge a cuisine of a nation and a region by their school lunch. Imagine if Americans did that. That'd be great. Man, this hot ham and cheese sandwich, this hot dog, banging. Yeah, that's a good question. I do like the salmon and the bagel and the cream cheese. That's for sure. We got a place probably like 10 minutes. Oh, so fucking good. I might get one this weekend. Really fucking great. The caper. Oh, yeah. That might be on my radar this weekend. All right, another question. QQAAXX says, after the pathetic opener, QQAAXX, after the pathetic opener at Grand Slam, you're now in charge of the next 3 KOPW defenses. Give us your fun choices. Okay, so give us, I guess, if we have to have Chase Owens as the champion, can you think of an opponent for Chase and a stipulation that you would be like, hell yeah, now we're talking. This is the KOPW that I wanted. No. Boy, all right, what would I want? What would be my ideal scenario for this fucking meaningless hunk of shit, bore, waste of space nonsense? I mean, they're bottom of the card people. So let's go with loser leaves town. No disqualification. Bunkhouse match. Come dressed as you are. Bring on your denim and your ripped t-shirt and your taped fists. Loser gets their head shaved. And I want it between Chase Owens, who desperately needs to remove that thinning hairline of his, finally commit and just get rid of it because it ain't coming back. And I would say Master Watto to lose.
I was not expecting that.
A balding Master Watto to look even more awful than he already does. That would be my hype. That would be it. A bunkhouse match. Chase Owens, because he can get the Texas spin on it, right? Lights out, bunkhouse match, no DQ. Loser, bald-headed geek. Boom. Saved the division.
I'll give me a light tube death match. Okay, so we're taking Chase against Docky.
Wow.
And I want them both of them just pissing blood all over the ring.
God almighty. Their kidneys.
Not literally. Figuratively.
That's never good. I want a scaffold match between the two, and I want them both pushed off.
Punjabi prison match. Right. Okay, Andrew says, do you think President Harold May would have done a better job steering the ship in New Japan Pro Wrestling through these unprecedented times?
Wow.
That's my question.
Great question. That is your question. I'll give you a solid I don't know. Because I don't know if that regime would... Look, Strong could have very easily have been just a blind squirrel finding a nut. A broken clock being right 2 times a day. Whatever fucking dumb saying you want to say, they struck gold with something that, quite honestly, I don't think anybody projected or anticipated. COVID made them think outside the box. I think you can thank COVID more for New Japan thinking outside the box, partnering with wrestling organizations that they may not have in the past, or if they had some type of relationship, it was a soured relationship. Let's put it this way. Aside from look, let's be truthful. Let's lay our fucking cards on the table. That Madison Square Garden show was built off of the idea of people believing, and we knew it wasn't the case, and we tried to warn you, that Kenny, the Bucks, were going to be at Madison Square Garden. Right? We can all acknowledge that, right? We can all acknowledge that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's on Harold's back, right? And the Harold regime's back. So no, to answer your question. And again, do I know every tiny detail of it? No. But from what we do know and what we have seen and how history has played out, it didn't, and unless things changed and cooler heads prevailed, would we be sitting here talking about these potential sexy matchups and partnering with a red-hot AEW? I don't know if we would.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think this is just one of those things where, and I suspect the way things have played out, just allowing more, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of the power being devolved to Rocky and his team he's got going there has led to things improving in the States. And does that happen under Harold May when Obari is still in charge of the New Japan US division? I'm not sure that it does. Who knows?
Right. Again, if look, like the pro wrestlers worked it out, to a large degree. But again, the buck stops at the top. So you have to assume that it wouldn't, because it didn't, because it was so fucked up in the past that there was a little bit of stuff that had to be ironed out. It has some shit had to be fixed. Some relationships had to be re-nurtured. And that was not happening under Harold.
Okay, El Destructo says, with the new belt and lineage, have the ceilings for some wrestlers reset, specifically someone like Taichi. I couldn't see him holding the IWGP heavyweight belt, but now with a new lineage and people like Shingo and Evil being focused in the last few years, maybe he could win the IWGP World Heavyweight belt. If so, are there any other wrestlers you think may have had their ceilings raised recently?
Well, I think, again, I hate to say it, but the company is going to do things that might be outside of their normal operating procedures because of the fact that they were caught between a rock and a hard place with COVID. No, I don't think Shingo would have been a world champion if it wasn't for the fact that the roster is depleted. They needed a change. They have a guy who can really fucking go, that the fans enjoy, the fans like. That doesn't necessarily have to have the pressures of drawing a house. He can just have good matches, and the houses are going to take care of themselves until these things get cleared up. Does that mean that everyone now has that opportunity? I still think it. I don't know. I mean, again, I sat here for years saying that title was, only a few people get it. Okay, there's a few names in the past couple of years that I wouldn't have thought would be in the running. They got their cup of coffee with it. So I can't say no. I can't see it, but I can't say no. But I think the more that they figure out how to operate in this world that we live in, those opportunities might dwindle, just because, again, at that time, they had no fucking idea what they were going to do. They had no idea if a month from now they were going to have a show. How do you book? How do you long-term, the big thing with New Japan was always that long-term booking, and this leads to this and this and this. How do you do that when shows are getting canceled left and right at the last minute? You got to think of your feet. You got to have fucking 3 or 4 notebooks, don't you? So, I mean, that provides opportunity, I guess, just to shake things up, just to keep people's eyeballs on it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But again, I can't say no definitely, but I think that window is closing. And I don't think Taichi is the guy that would be, if you're just naming a name, I don't think you're going to see a Taichi win the heavyweight title anytime soon.
I think maybe under this new title, we could see Taichi challenging for it. I could see him being a filler challenger, like a Castle Attack or a Don Taco or something. And maybe new, fresh guys like a Jeff Cobb, someone who you could throw into the mix who maybe wouldn't have got a look in the IWGP heavyweight title days.
She's laughing at you.
Yeah.
Like, what an asshole. What a terrible take.
Okay. Classic Catch says, following up on the last show, as given AEW just sold out the United Center, how many hours would it take for an AEW New Japan Super Show to sell out Lincoln Financial Field?
Great question. Lincoln Financial Field, the home of the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're looking at 60 to 70,000 seat football stadium, Joel. AEW New Japan Super Show. Link. You got to figure the big names are coming out for this, Joel, right? So again, we talked about it before. Punk, Jericho, Omega, Okada, Tanahashi. That's a big building to sell. I know I was all hyped on it before. I mean, it would have to be the sexiest. It would have to be a very sexy show. And they got to bring in every big name they got. I think they could do it, dude. Am I on my fucking skull? If they got to have some pretty big programs in their back pocket. Do you think they could do a 60,000 seat outdoor arena? I mean, they sold United Center out in seconds. Again, that was the idea of Punk's return. Let's see what. See, we can't say. Let's see what Punk does a month from now or 2 months from now. Is he still that much of a needle mover? But in a sexy program, I think they could do it, dude. If it's a destination,
I think if you put on like your biggest matches, like Omega Okada, Omega Ibushi, I don't know, let's say Punk, CM Punk against, I don't know, Jay White, Danielson against Zach. I don't know. Or basically, you got to put your best foot forward. Right. If they put in the very sexiest matches that they could, I think they could do it.
Yep, I do too. I'm being optimistic. That would be, I mean, if there's a outdoor stadium show, Joel, are you there? Would you make the trip to the United States?
I mean, travel, school holidays, and everything permitting, then yeah, I would.
I would too. I would absolutely do that. I would go to that stadium show without question. I would. Yeah, that would be fucking great. That would be fun. That would be fun. Why can't they just do that? Why guys do that? Just fucking do it.
It's coming. I'm sure it's got to be coming. So much money on the table.
There's so much money on the fucking table. They got to be planning it, right? They got to be planning it. All right. Fingers crossed. Let's hope. And not only that, let's hope there's some New Japan involvement in that. You know what I mean? And not just like match 3, Yano versus fucking, But let's get the sexiness involved in this. But wouldn't that be great? Fantastic.
Rika Tatsumi says, is Joel going to be the Yujiro or Okada for his fantasy football league? Probably the Yujiro. I haven't had the best start because same thing that always happens. I put too much faith in Arsenal, and I think, this Arsenal player is going to be good. Or Kiritini's going to be good. Or Pepe's going to have a good start. And of course, we just end up being absolute shit. And that's what cost me in fantasy football, being an Arsenal fan. But hopefully, I've learned my lesson early this year and dropped all the Arsenal players and might actually get some decent scores. But it's looking more Yujiro at the moment. But we'll see. Classic Catch says, who's a bigger nerd, Great Okan or Kenny Omega? And that is my question. There's a sexy match for your stadium show. Kenny Omega and Great Okan in a anime nerd off. I feel that Kenny Omega is more, his sort of nerd fandom is stuff that is got more sort of cultural cachet. Things like Final Fantasy or Undertale, things that there's a wider fan base for than Okan, who seems to be into like these really niche Japanese animes and mangas that not many people have heard of. So I would say, Great Okan. I think he's a bigger nerd.
I'll agree.
Take my word for it.
Yep.
Okay, El Destructor says, hockey question for Hockey Joel. Is Damon serious about making Joel learn the NHL? If so, I accordingly invite Joel to hop on the bandwagon.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, agree. Invite Joel to hop on the bandwagon of my beloved Colorado Avalanche. Stan Kroenke may not like to spend money on Arsenal, but he's built a very good team in Colorado. So would you like to be a Colorado Avalanche fan? That is my question. Damon, should I be a Colorado Avalanche fan?
They're my West Coast team. Let's put it that way. So they're fun. They have lots of young talent. They're in the mix. They're kind of like the Leafs in the sense of good regular season, fun watching them, struggle in the playoffs. They can't get over the hump. Colorado's a fun team, dude. And they got a cool logo. I think you might like the logo. Look at the Colorado Avalanche logo. It's a cool logo. And they are the former Quebec Nordiques, which is one of my favorite teams. Back in the day. Not a bad pick, Joel. I'm not going to lie. I mean, if you're not going to be on with the Leafs, which you should, because you need to have experienced more heartbreak in your life. Colorado's not a bad pick.
What is the doo-doo? I don't understand what the doo-doos are for.
Doo-doo.
Yeah. Okay. Classic Catch. Another one says, is Tanahashi the actual most valuable wrestler for New Japan this year? And that is my question. He is. I think the way things are planned out, they didn't plan for it to be this way, but I think he is the guy who has been sort of the safety net where things have fallen apart for New Japan and the plans have gone awry. Tanahashi's been the guy that they can rely on.
Yeah, always, right? For his entire career. I said it before, previous show. Like, there are great wrestlers, and then there are like the ultra superstar, the top of the ladder, the Mount Rushmore. And he's one of them because, again, when times are tough, you lean on certain people to get you through and to deliver. I can't say it's easy to deliver when times are great. It's never easy to deliver. But when times are great, I think there's a little bit less pressure than when times are uneasy and uncertain. And when you lean on a person like that, that's a rock. That's literally and figuratively. It's somebody that can get you through. And he's always been that guy. So, again, to me, Hiroshi Tanahashi, to me, is the greatest pro wrestler of all time. Period. And then you can make your arguments, different time periods and different. But to me, Hiroshi Tanahashi is the greatest pro wrestler of all time.
Okay, I'm going to dip into some of the Twitter questions then.
Right.
In-Ring Art says, why not have Shingo win the G1 by beating Ospreay in the final to avenge his loss? Then he picks Naito as his opponent at Wrestle Kingdom. Could be a good storyline, in which he calls out Naito for taking things too tranquilo lately. Luis says, an all LIJ main event match for the Tokyo Dome. Is it possible? Shingo versus Naito. So have you got any early thoughts on G1 winners and Tokyo Dome main events?
I mean, without seeing lineups and all that, again, my thought process was Naito winning, right? And now with Will talking about being the champion and never being beaten, et cetera, you think he's in the mix. And then you also have Shingo, where in the mix as well, when it comes to Wrestle Kingdom time. So either somebody's got to lose a belt, or if we're doing the double belt night at the Dome, you have that idea of, okay, Shingo versus X, Will versus Y, the winners meet up and we're fighting over the real championship. And I think in that mix is Naito, and in that mix is Shingo, and in that mix is Will. And I think Okada's in that mix as well. Makes sense. So again, to me, I think Naito wins it. Just, again, trying to get from point A to point B. Naito wins it. You already have Will and Shingo holding belts, and Okada's a perfectly logical person for Will to get past to make it that final night.
Bash, let's take a question from Bash. Wishing you better. He's not been very well recently. So best wishes over to you, Bash. Says, my first time I ever watched the two big Dragon Gate shows, knowing Shingo's roots were from there and him giving a tribute to the Speed Stars final. Did you both catch it? I thoroughly enjoyed it. You mentioned the the junior division needs some more spice. So who would you guys pick from there to do the best of the Super Juniors tour at the end of the year? So did you catch I think this is Masato Yoshino's retirement, and is there anyone from Dragon Gate who's catching your eye who you would like to see in New Japan?
I couldn't tell you. No, I mean, and I just haven't really watched it, so I would be. I know. Do you watch Dragon Gate?
No.
I see. I feel bad. Like, the guy is really not doing well physically, and a lot of concern. And now we're just like, nope, can't answer your question.
Okay, there's another question from him.
I'm
just going through the background. A question for Gaming Joel. Are you planning to play Streets of Rage 4 on the PS4, especially with the new DLC added? And would you recommend Damon to play it since he enjoyed Streets of Rage 2 games? Damon, I think you really like Streets of Rage 4 because it keeps the same spirit of the original game. Like, mechanically, very, very similar. But yeah, tremendous fun. Would I play it on the PS4? Possibly. Once I finish Persona 5, I'm going to be playing Yakuza. I've got Yakuza 0, so I'm very excited about that. So maybe after I've done that, I might fire up Streets of Rage 4 again.
Can I get it right now? Streets of Rage 4?
Yeah.
It's available.
Yes.
I will buy it this week.
Excellent. And then we can talk about it on next week's show.
Maybe we can play. Is there online?
Oh, that's a good idea.
But don't I have to get that nonsense subscription?
I don't know.
To be able to play online?
Yeah. Listeners, let us know.
Yeah, let us know how we can play Streets of Rage 4. Me and Joel. That'd be fun. I would be into that. But again, don't they have to, I had to buy that subscription thing to be able to play online? And then I could teach you hockey. And then you could teach me FIFA. And then you can... That might be fun, dude. I might be into this.
We could do a Twitch stream. No, I'm not doing a Twitch stream.
Come on, I want to do a Twitch stream. I want to get dressed up with little bunny ears.
I think you look very, very cute.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to finish off here.
All right, please.
So what I usually do with the questions is I put them in order of how I receive them, and then I sort of work through the oldest ones first. Or something, pick and choose, whatever. That's not important. But the point is, Antonio sent us a question last week, which I didn't get around to, and he's annoyed. So
VIP.
Okay, I need to go now. I need to go.
Right now.
Antonio, right now I need to leave. Yeah, sorry. So redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast. I'm not going to do the plugs this week. Thanks for listening. Goodbye. See you. Yeah, I've got to go.
All right, dude. I'll take her. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Life needs more Cedar Point, more smiles, more surprises, more screams, more days in the sun and nights on the shore, more oohs and ahs and yums, more moments with your family and friends, more memories you get to share again and again. Life needs more Cedar Point, more than ever.
And now you can have more for less. Save up to $25 on tickets when you buy online now. Only at cedarpoint.com.